Hey, everybody, it's me, Jonathan Millard, the voice of the Vale, and welcome back to another Big Hype podcast brought to you in association with Hype Energy Drinks. Check out their links below and protect yourself at all times by wearing Bravos boxing gloves and equipment. Check out their links as well below. But joining me in the studio tonight via Liverpool, I seem to be doing a lot from Liverpool at the moment. I don't know why. But from Liverpool, please welcome James Henneghan.
How we doing, mate? You good?
Okay.
Good to speak to you.
It's good, mate. It's good to have you on. How you been?
I've been good, thank you. Bit of a rest week for last week, didn't we? So got plenty of time on my hands. I'm hating
it. You're one of those people, are you? You just don't like it. You like to be active all the time.
Yeah, I get bored. I haven't got too much time, so I think went on about 4 walks today just for something to do. Been banned from training.
Have you got a dog? Get a dog.
Borrow
a dog. If you can't have one yourself, borrow one.
My dog hates walking, so even he won't come with me.
Oh, bless you. But we'll come to the fight in a moment. We'll go through all that. But I'll ask the same question I've asked everyone who comes on the podcast, and it's the very simple one: is why, or how, and why did you get involved in boxing?
Just to be simple with you, mate, because I can't kick a football to save my life, and I wanted to be good at something, and it was once football didn't work for me, it had to be something, and thankfully I can throw a punch better than I can kick a football.
That's fair enough. I mean, there seems to be a trend now. I've had three of this. You're the third Liverpudlian, to come on. Or are you a Liverpudlian?
Yeah.
Okay, I know it gets a bit murky around the Mersey and which side of it and all that. I'm not going to get into the politics of it all, but all of you have said about football as that's your sort of, we're going to try football first, and if it doesn't work out, then we'll go into boxing. Is that the normal trend up there?
Yeah, must be. I think both are big, aren't they, in the area and in the city, and I think every kid wants to be good at something, and unfortunately, we're in football, otherwise I'd probably be kicking a football instead of getting punched in the head right now, but here we are.
Each to their own, isn't it?
Exactly.
So when did you start boxing?
I was about 11 or 12, and I think first few sessions I liked it, but I didn't love it, you know what I mean? And then I think one session, just I must have had a good session, must have got told I was doing well, and it just sort of clicked for me then, and you can't get me out the gym now, all these years later.
Well, that's okay. So you started when you were, 11, you said, or 12?
Yeah, 11 or 12, around then.
And was there any family influences, like your dad or granddad?
Yeah, it was my dad, to be fair. He'd always loved boxing, always been around the boxing gym himself from when he was a kid. And I think, when he could take me to the boxing gym, he secretly made up, really, that I stuck to it. I think he didn't want to force me into it. So I think when I was the one who was wanting to go back and I was the one who was wanting to train, then he's made up then, and he's always there. He took me to train and wherever it was, all my fights as an amateur, wherever they were, whether they were in England or not, then he's always been there. I don't think he's missed a fight in however many fights I've had us to this day.
Well, I could tell you how many fights you had professionally, but I couldn't tell you how many you've had amateurs. So
around 40, 50 odd, I think, somewhere in between then. I was trying to go through it the other day. I was trying to figure them all out. I was trying to count them all, and I keep missing a few. Then I'll remember a few, and there needs to be a way where you can go back and they'll tell you exactly how many.
Well, unless you've still got your old record cards. Have you still got your record cards?
You give it in when you turn professional. You go to the board. They get your old book. But even that's all online now for the kids now, isn't it? I think they have it all online. So
I like
having a little book.
Yeah, I like. Obviously, I get involved with boxing at all levels. From amateur right up through, and I still have to go to the amateurs because they still got their little cards in Wales. We still obviously backwards. We did the last time I went to a show, but that was probably about 12 months ago. I was doing a local show just for Heads of the Valley and Ashley Brace actually. They still have the cards and they still mark the cards up.
Yeah,
it's all digital as well, but you still get their cards. And I was going, that's still quite nice. And Yeah, so I didn't realise that. Actually, that's something new I've learned tonight. Then I didn't realise that you had to hand your card in to turn over pro. So
Yeah, you give it to the area council of whoever you're seeing, and
yeah.
what they do with it, I don't know. They've probably just got a little file before them, and they probably just spin them. To be fair, but I think it's more as if you're turning over because you want to know like your prior experiences, and
Yeah.
it's a bit easier for you. I think if you've got no experience when you're turning over, then it's a bit of a longer winded process, isn't it? You've got to get like, I don't know whether they used to assess you, didn't they? I think they used to come down and like send someone from the board down to assess you, to see like you're obviously capable enough to turn pro. I don't know whether they still do that.
Again, don't sit on the board. I have a board license, but I don't sit on the board. I'll leave that to other people that want to do that sort of stuff. I'm just happy saying people's names. I'm very happy doing my little part. I've been a judge. I've been an official. I've been, a referee in the amateurs as well. So I've been around. So it varies different. I think again, different councils, different areas. They have their different rules. It's probably in a filing drawer somewhere, like you said. Hopefully, one day they'll be able to turn over and say, "Well, actually,
give it back.
Look at that. There you go. You can have it back now. You can put it in the thing. Maybe they've got some very impressive ones, like maybe they've got Tony Belly who's in there, or David Hayes or something.
Got a few good ones.
Anthony Joshua's in there. That would be that would be a bit of money for the anyway for the collectors. So I digress. But that is something new. I didn't realise that that's the case. But so 40, 50 fights we reckon in the amateur. A good sort of selection of wins and losses, I guess.
Yeah. Then I won a lot more than I lost. I think
that's good.
Probably lost about 7, 8 of those, maybe at most. Obviously, could go back. Could have lost 2 more. Could have lost 2 less. And until I find that amateur card of mine, then
that's all right. Any cups or championships or?
Won a good few regionals, a few box cups and stuff, and the nationals always seem to just slip me. I think the problem was mainly as a kid. I think I'd always seemed to perform against the people I shouldn't have performed against, and then the people who I should have beat seemed to get one over on me. It was, I don't know what it was. I think it was I couldn't tell you, but it was like sort of I'd always outperform when I shouldn't, and then fights that I should win, I'd struggle. Not all the time, but more so. It just seemed to stick on my mind.
Someone showed you the Uno card, was it? And it's like, it's back on me now. It's back on you now, mate. Sorry.
But yeah, I had a good amateur, got good amateur experience when got to box in a few different countries like Denmark, Holland, Ireland. It was good experience being in them tournaments and seeing like your different international boxing teams there, like in the Eindhoven Cup in Holland. That they had like Ukrainian teams there. They had Timo from India. That was my last amateur fight in that tournament, and that was good experience.
Opportunity to travel is always good. Being the away fighter is also a good skill, a good thing to learn as well.
Definitely.
It's not always home green grass of home, is it? So
no.
You turned over then in you didn't, in 2019. Yeah. Not 19 something, 2019. Again, you came out against some very interesting people to start off with. Good selection of journeymen and prospects as well. It was a sort of all local to you, and then you sort of how did you find your debut? Because that was Grenadier. I can't even think of the surname. Badger. Him.
Yeah.
And he was starting out then as well. He was just starting out as well yourself.
Yeah, that was the beginning for him as well. Of when he sort of turned over and yeah, I think for me for the debut was probably still an experience now that like I can't really describe to people, because it was like for a lot of time, it was for a lot of people as well close to me, it was their first time getting to watch me box. It was, first time boxing as a professional, like getting used to the setup, the cameras, the lights, the walkout, how different it was. And I was in against Jen as well, and Jen come to win. He was starting out, and he come trying to take my head off that night, and it was a good experience, and it was a good welcome to the pro game. I look back on that, with a good fond memory, and it was still one of the best days I've had in the sport.
Well, with a different memory as well now. Obviously, we unfortunately passed not that long
Sad,
ago,
really sad.
But you fought him not once, but you fought him twice.
Yeah, I think that goes to show what a good person he was as well. Like we were meant to be fighting a tough foreign opponent, and they pulled out literally with over 24, just under 24 hours, and Jen found out, and Jen said, "Listen, I'll come down to London. I'll step in and fight just to get you about." Honestly, everyone will tell you, everyone especially from the area who come across him, even people who didn't fight him, who just come across him at shows or just bumped into him. He was an unbelievable fella, and he'd be sadly missed.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of announcing him as well in the professional. So
Lovely fella.
He is missed within our community as well.
Definitely.
So rest in peace, mate. But then we'll move on. So we had as you say, two fights with him. One in York Hall.
Yeah.
You're obviously British pedigree because you fought in the York Hall. So you're already on the right level.
I've got a few fights there. I think I've had about 3-4 fights there now. I'm home away from home, innit?
It is. It's a tough venue. I don't know. As a ring announcer, I find it a tough venue because people come and go. It's transitional all evening. There's not really many people who sit there and watch. Apart from crazy people like me who likes boxing, and there are a few people who will sit there all night and watch every fight. But more often than not, people come and go.
Yeah.
So for some fights, you can see the atmosphere. You can have a great atmosphere. Sometimes it's not so much of an atmosphere. It's kind of a bit like being in the amateurs, a bit where it's really quiet and no one's really doing anything but the boxers are doing their stuff. So, but as an iconic place, it is the home of British boxing, and rightly so. It has that pedigree around it. If you box there, you're pretty much already on the way to something bigger and better, but we'll come to that in a minute. We'll talk through what you've done. But you've been the journeyman, not journeyman, sorry, the away fighter on a few occasions, not just in London, but in Manchester as well. That's just across the road from where you are. Again, different thing. How did those fights go for you? How did you feel your first couple of fights down in London and then in Manchester? How did they feel for you being the away fighter?
Good. You know what? When at the time, like, you don't really appreciate or take too much notice to it. But now as I'm getting more fights in and getting more experience and stuff, I'm sort of grateful that I've had the opportunity. Like even the York Hall ones, I got to box in York Hall in COVID when it was behind closed doors and there was no one there but the TV crew and the paramedics, and you could hear people walking in and out and you could hear a pin drop in there. So I've had an experience like that. Then you've had one where you go boxing, doing the Joe Joyce's fight in Manchester, and again that's a completely different experience. And I feel like now all these little experiences that I've had are all adding up. And like I've boxed on a dinner show down in London that was a weird experience, and for Frank Warren dinner show that was, I think I walked to the ring at like just before 11 o'clock at night. I'm usually asleep at half time, you know what I mean? I'm usually well gone by then. So all these little experiences that I'm having, I think now there's not many things that faze me or not really many things that I feel uncomfortable ever. Now in a boxing ring, it's just all little ticks to a box, innit?
Well, I think that's the broadest thing, and having those two things in the same sentence: a dinner show and being in an arena, Manchester Arena for Joy Chase. I don't think that you can get much further apart really in professional boxing. They are polar opposites really. Sort of very civilized, enjoying our three-course dinner with a little sherry trifle afterwards, and then you've got the shouting, the pints throwing, and everything else going off, and fireworks. That's and big arena noise going on, and massive sound systems and all this stuff to fill the arena. So I can only imagine, because that's how it feels for you being in the ring with that type of thing. How do you cope with that? How do you find those differences? Are you a way of coping that with you in regards to camping? Or is the camp different for those different types of fights?
I wouldn't say so. I'd say all them fights are more like it's camp in it. You know what I mean? Like I'm fighting at the end of the day. I could fight in someone's backyard. I could fight in front of 200,000 people, and I'm still going to approach camp the same way. It's always going to be hard, and it's always going to be with the end goal of fighting to beat whoever's in front of me that night. So, you know, the approach never really changes. Okay. The settlement does as it's seen throughout my career. You know, I think more than most people, with the amount of fights I've had a few different experiences there. Not many get, being I've boxed away from home, a lot of boxed in home, a lot of boxed different venues, of boxing sports centres, dinner halls, arenas. Like I've had a good mix up to me 13 fights now, and I'm grateful that I've had all those experiences, because they all are standing me in good stead now.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, it's a very, like I said, it's a very varied background and learning steps. You've had 13 fights, 13-0, still undefeated, and you know, like you say, you've had the last couple of fights were home, but you've been out there with some great names. But obviously that has steadied you in good fast, and because now you're going into an opportunity, from what your management was telling me, after the last fight you only out last week, so yeah. And we're right back into it. Talk us through what's come on the table then at the moment.
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously but they've got to get things over the line, and all the fun stuff, all the fun part of the box, and all the talks and signings and stuff like that. But it should definitely be title next. You know, that's one thing they've told me, and you know, I know they can deliver that for me. So all goes to plan, and boxing doesn't do the thing where it gets in the way of things and ruins your plans. But so fingers crossed. In an ideal world, by the end of summer to midsummer, I'll have a title round my waist, and then we can push on. Then I feel like I've done the apprenticeship, as they say, and
yeah,
I've done everything that I've needed to do. I've beat the people I've needed to beat. I've done it comfortably as well. You know, I feel like there's not really a fight that you can look at and say I've struggled in. So I feel like I've proved that I'm ready now to keep moving up the levels, and you know, that's what I've been told that's going to happen next, and you know, that's what I'm ready for.
Who's on your management team then? Who's on your management team, Jay?
So it's Steve Vaughan and Steve Vaughan management is with me management, and then Block One promotions as well are the team behind me, and you know, I feel like they deliver for the fighters, and you know, they'll be able to do the same for me, and you know, I can hopefully reward them with the hard work with a nice shiny belt come the end of summer.
Yeah. So what are we looking at? Are we looking at area first, or are we looking for something a little bit more?
Hopefully something a little bit more from what they've said. You know, okay. I think now I'm 13 fights in. I think I've proved them. I'm past that in my eyes now. I think.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I agree with that.
I think the area titles are good on your way up, and I was meant to fight for 2 years ago, and unfortunately broke my finger. So I feel like that just weren't meant to be now, and I think I should be moving on to a better title, and they agree with me. So that's the plan for us, and fingers crossed that's what comes through for us.
So is there a belt or a accolade that you want more than anyone else, more than anything else? I know, you know, it can be whatever you want it to be, but is there something that you want? Actually, that's what I want. I want that opportunity to have that belt.
Oh, mate, honestly, the belt could be from Asda. As long as it's got one of them 3 letters in front of it, I'd wear it, and you wouldn't have it off me. I'd be wearing it to the shop. It doesn't matter what belt it is, as long as it's got one of them 3 letters before it, I'm good.
Fair enough, mate. I was going to say Asda's got 4, Lidl's got 4, so's Aldi's, Tesco's 5, so you can't really win with any of those high streets supermarkets. But a WBC, a WBO, an IBF,
yeah, it's something like one of them variants, or like one of them international Europeans. Like there's intercontinental. Like how many different variants of them is there? You know, one of them's got to be free, and one of them would look sound around my waist, I think. So
I think they'd all look pretty sound, mate, to be honest with
yeah,
you. Like you
yeah.
said, it's so yeah. Okay. Obviously, yes, 13 fights. We probably, I'd like to think, like you're saying, your management are really sort of looking after you there and making sure that the next step is going to be the right step, and whatever that comes to, whether it's for a WBO or a WBF or whatever, international, intercontinental, whatever. I'm sure it'll all come together and fit properly. Yeah. As I say, is there something then you think, well, okay, once I've done that, then I can do this or I can do that? I mean, is there something that you'd like beyond the titles that you'd like to accomplish within boxing?
Big Hype Podcast, sponsored by Hype Energy Drinks.
When I'd say when I look back beyond titles, because that is the main thing that I envision for myself is just titles. But I think if you to take away the titles aspect of it, and I'd want people to say he was in good fights, and I'd want people to appreciate the hours and the years I've put into the sport, and that when you look back, and because there's fighters you look at now who are retired and you think, you know what, he was some fighter. No matter what he achieved or how far he went, he was class, and I enjoyed, like, he was good value. You know what I mean? I think that's something, like, obviously you want to look back on. Every fighter wants to be appreciated for all the hard work that they put in.
Yeah, I think that's a sound legacy, mate. If that's what people will think of you when they say, do you know what, James was, he was a good boxer. He was in his fights 50-50. All his fights were class and quality in that respect as well. So yeah,
that's it.
And they'll watch back on YouTube and they go, oh yeah, that's what you want now. So
yeah, that's it.
So once the gloves are hung up, though, is there anything that you want to accomplish within your life after that? That's probably something you probably haven't even thought about yet, but we'll throw it out there and see what comes back.
Yeah, I think outside of punching and getting punched, that I'd always stay within the sport. I think whether that would be training fighters or maybe going into managing fighters, or because I think I've put from 11 to 12 being obsessed with the sport every day. Like my coach would tell you, he could ask me something about a fighter who's fighting next week, and I could probably tell you 3-4 people he's been in with.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the sport, whether it's who people have been in with, who's fighting next, what they were fighting for. Then I love it, and so I feel like to then just stop once I retire would be a waste of all that knowledge that I've sort of gained through it. So definitely something within the sport, what that is, and still remains, and I'll cross that bridge hopefully no time soon. But
yeah, so as long as you don't want my job,
I'm not much of an announcer, so don't worry.
No, I'm joking, mate. I've got to compete with Bob all the time, so it's fine. It's all good, mate. But it's all good. But no, like you say, there's plenty of opportunities within boxing. Like you say, there's management opportunities, there's coaching, there's other things, and I'm sure whatever you put your hand to, like this career so far, you will deliver on it. So whatever you turn your hand to, I'm sure will be fine. Okay, so where we are right now, I think that's pretty much a sound place for me, and I think you're going to go great places and go and I'm going to watch the space for you to see what comes up next, because I'm intrigued now with because management seem to think that they've asked me to have a chat with all of you guys and some of the guys on Block One show, and I'm and signed to the label, and I'm like going, there's something about Liverpool at the moment, and it seems to be producing some quality fighters again. So I'm excited and happy to see where this is going. What comes out of there for British boxing, not just for and obviously international boxing as well. There's obviously a lot of change in the world at the moment around boxing as well. Like you say, there's that TKO stuff that's coming out as well. I'll ask you your thoughts on it. Have you seen the structure of the pricing and the money behind it?
I've seen it, and it's one of them. I think, is it good for the sport? Probably. How they implement it, I don't know how they're gonna do it and how it's gonna work. And I think if it gets fighters good opportunities, then I'm all for it. But with them saying that they're gonna disregard the 4 belts, the 5 if you include the IBO, will it work? I don't think so. I think it takes away all the power from the promoters, and I just can't see that's something that can work with the amount of big promoters and big companies that are involved in the sport. I think the reason why the sport's so big and works so well is because all these promoters can say they have a world champion, and because there's 4 or 5 belts, and if you take that away, then it takes away a lot of the power and a lot of the marketing tools they've got, isn't it? That if there's only one world champion.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a UFC fan as well before, and I used to work a lot of MMA shows as well, so I've seen how the underside of it can kind of work with these sort of larger, with the UFCs as well, and how that all fits together. But they're disrupting, I think, and that disrupting the industry is perhaps a good thing. Certainly the money side of it, from what they've said about unranked boxers getting 20 grand or $20 grand. I think for most boxers, they'd be like, actually, knowing obviously how much you got to sell tickets and get that over when you first start, having an opportunity like that could set some of the boxers up on a good path and a good trajectory to actually be able to train more rather than having to work and train and so on as well. That's my thoughts on it. So
yeah, definitely. I think
so there's some positives, but there'll be some negatives, and I think again, we're just gonna have to see and watch the space, I guess, going forward. But maybe I'm speaking to the next TKO middleweight champion. Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows, mate? We have a little closing tradition on the podcast, and this is sort of like an either-or question. So it's, which one do you prefer? It is no real sort of answer, right or wrong. It's whatever you feel is the right answer. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
James Henneghan, here we go. Southpaw or orthodox? Body shots or head shots?
Body shots.
Train alone or with a partner?
Partner.
Early bird, night owl?
Early bird.
It's past your bedtime. It's like, go to bed, John. Heavy bag or speed bag?
Heavy bag.
Okay. Underdog or favourite?
Underdog.
Boxing gym or training outdoors?
Boxing gym.
Short and powerful punches or long and technical?
Long and technical.
Fight dirty or fight clean?
Fight clean.
There's only a handful of people that can fight dirty.
Yeah.
Tell you one of them, but I'll tell you afterwards. You'll have to go back and listen over. Loud crowd or quiet atmosphere?
Loud crowd.
Okay. Quick knockout or strategic win? I'll put my teeth back in.
I'd like quick knockout, but I keep beating everyone on points, so I'll have to say strategic.
Hey, points, getting the rounds in. I know a lot of people will sort of argue with you on that one, but
that's what I keep telling everyone. I like getting the rounds in. Can't wait for an early night.
That's where you want your fight on early. So only on second or third, mate. It's fine. Hypothetical question, last one on the list. AJ or Fury?
Fury, I think both are the best. Yeah, Fury.
Do you know what? I'm not. Fury seems to be winning, I think, on points right now because he seems to have more. He seems to have more, but I think there's also a bit of a north-south divide on it as well. So
I think the power as well. AJ in his prime, Mitchell clean. I think no matter who you are or how well you can move, you stay in it.
There you go. That's it. James, how do people get involved with you? How do they follow your story and follow what you're up to?
Yeah, just give me a follow on any of my socials. I think Heneghan _ maybe. Could be wrong. I could be sending you to another James Henneghan. You'll have to go check that one. If it's not me, I'm sure you'll realise pretty quick. But I think that's about right, yeah.
Just follow you on. Get involved. Send him a message. Send him a like, dislike his
let
stuff.
him know.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Mate, thank you so much for coming on the podcast this evening. It's been a blast. I've actually learned something. I've learned something new as well tonight. We're 30 odd episodes in, and I'm still learning, so that's always good. But we are watching the space. We will be watching to see what comes out for the news on your next fight. I got a feeling, because I kind of do, that it's going to be big, and it's going to be a big news for you and obviously all your fans as well. So just make sure everyone follow James and get involved with his story, because he's going to go places. And we're hopefully speaking to a world champion on the podcast as well in the future as well. So I'll probably jinx it now, but
Can't say that.
no, mate, no, I'm joking. No, you know, when I speak to other people, you know, when I speak to all of them, everyone's got their own game plan, their own processes, and their own policies, and their own movement in the right direction. And I'm sure you're no doubt no different in that respect. You believe it, you can achieve it, and that's the rules.
There we go.
So, anyway, thank you very much for coming on the podcast, and we'll hopefully have you back in the future with a nice shiny belt over your shoulder.
There we go. I'll have it on still. Wouldn't have been off.
Fantastic.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Take care.
Thank you for that.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Big Hype podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and really I just want to ask you personally, if you could just send this on to a friend. Send it in their text, to their socials, to WhatsApp, whatever. However you get it to them, just get it to them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it, and I certainly will appreciate it. So thanks again for listening to the Big Hype podcast, and thank you again for sending and sharing.